I'm going to talk on a topic today with the theme of Black History Month and Blacks in Scripture. But as I begin to seek the Lord about talking about Black history and Black in Scripture, what came to my mind was the thought of Blacks in America and how we as African Americans and people of color have suffered persecution. And I thought about that because it made me think about slavery and slavery time. And then the word of the Lord came to me and said, persecution is a prerequisite for promotion.
That's right.
And I like that because the Lord was definitely speaking to a people that were being persecuted, a people that were enslaved and isolated. And when you feel like you're down to nothing, the Lord is definitely up to something.
That's right.
And so when we're being persecuted, or when we're feeling overwhelmed, or when we're enslaved and in bondage, God is trying to tell you something. So let's go to the scriptures. Go to the scripture with me. I'm going to go to Genesis, chapter number 39. And I'm going to do a little bit of reading just so we can set the foundation for the story. This is a familiar text to us about Joseph. And we hear a lot about Joseph, and he suffered a lot of persecution. But what I want to remind us is that the hand of the Lord was with him. Genesis chapter 39, starting at verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. And all that he had he put into his hand. And it came to pass from that time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in his field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. And he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. Verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. And she said to him, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto her, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in his house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her or with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, He had brought he hath brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us, and he came unto me to lie with me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he had heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got out. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, that Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came into me to mock me. And it came to pass that I lifted up my voice and I cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, and his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. And I read in you here in Genesis 39, 1 through 20. And I read because I wanted you to get the understanding of the scripture. Persecution is a prerequisite for promotion. Persecution is a prerequisite for promotion. And as I think about this, I want to say to us, if you feel like you're being persecuted, you're being talked about, you're being portrayed, you're being backstabbed, talked about, lied on, welcome. It's a prerequisite for your promotion. Promotion is coming. And I like to use Joseph because he's a well-known man in scripture. And there are 3 P's that I want to leave with you. Persecution is a prerequisite for promotion. I would first like to start with thinking about all that Joseph had gone through. He was a dreamer, and his family knew all about him. His family already knew that this dream made him seem like he was above everybody else. But the hand of the Lord was upon him, and it kindled the anger and the envy of his brothers, and they threw him into a pit. First, now it's something when your family persecutes you, because family is supposed to love you. Family is supposed to have you. But family can also get jealous. Family can also be upset. And not everybody will like the fact that favor is upon your life. And people will see favor upon your life before you even recognize that you have favor. So they put him in a pit. And from the pit, Joseph then went to Potiphar's house. And I like to talk about that because the whole time the Lord was with him. But it did not stop anything that had to happen to him. But what it did do was let Joseph know that even in my trials, in my struggles, in my hard times, the Lord is still with me. So when we understand that the Lord is with us, it doesn't matter what comes, it does not matter what goes, but when the hand of the Lord is with you, you will prosper even in the enemy's camp. What I like about the story is that he was an upright man. And even when Potiphar's wife came unto him, he said, there is nobody greater in this house than I. And the master has given me everything except you, because you're his wife.
Right.
When you're under persecution, your integrity will either show up or it will show out. Integrity talks about who you are when nobody is looking. Integrity speaks to your character. Integrity talks about when nobody knows you, will I still do the right thing? Persecution. Persecution can invoke a lot of feelings and emotions. And the first question we might ask is, Lord, why me? But if I tell you that persecution is a prerequisite for you being promoted, would you still want to be promoted? We want to get the big titles, but do we want to do what it takes to obtain the big title?
Right.
It is lovely to be called pastor. It is lovely to be called apostle. It is lovely to be called president. It is lovely to have all these great esteemed titles. But what will it take for you to get that esteemed title? And the prerequisite for promotion is persecution. Somebody is going to talk about you. Somebody is not going to like you. Somebody is going to want to defame your name. Somebody is going to want to pull up your past, and somebody is going to want to talk about what you used to be, what you used to say, what you used to do. But the Lord's hand is still upon you. And when the Lord touches us and he changes us, the scripture says that, behold, old things have passed away and all things have become new. And when you're a new creature and a new creation, persecution surely comes, because it will come to test who you say you are and whom you say you are. So I want to pull from the first scripture